Hustle culture is keeping you poor, right? So let me give you the spiritual, the energetic reasons behind why hustle culture is keeping you poor. So let me erase this. And I guarantee you, if you watch the entire video, your paradigm is going to completely shift, right? So, for example, let's say you watch hustle culture on YouTube. It's all about suffering, it's all about sleep depriving yourself, waking up super early. It's all about, oh, I only eat one meal a day. I take cold showers all of the time. You have to understand all of these actions that a lot of people take and do, it lowers your frequency, right? A perfect example is that person who says they never sleep. They only get 2-3 hours of sleep every single day. I only sleep 3 hours. I only sleep 3 hours. That's all I need. I'm grinding, bro. So you have to understand everything is energy, frequency, and vibrations. And most people don't understand the energetic reasons behind the things that they do, which is why they're stuck, right? Your body runs on energy, right? You need food, you need sleep, and oxygen. These are the three biggest things that gives your body energy, right? So oxygen, these three things give your body energy. Three things give your body energy. Your body energy. So these three things give your body energy: oxygen, food, and sleep, right? So it's these three things. Now you don't have to worry about oxygen because oxygen is everywhere, right? Some people eat one meal a day, whatever. But one of the biggest things, right? And the food thing also, it depends on who you are, it depends on what you're trying to achieve, your diet, right? Me, I used to eat one meal a day as well, and I can tell you that when I used to eat one meal a day, right? The reason I start eating one meal a day is for productivity. I'm like, I don't have time to eat 2 meals a day. I should only eat one meal a day. And I can tell you that my productivity went down when I was only eating one meal a day, for example. And then another thing is sleep, depriving yourself of sleep because you need to work, right? That's another thing that I did. And then when I started doing, my productivity went down. Now, let me explain why this is, right? So you have to understand everything is energy, right? Everything is energy, frequency, vibrations, and these things give you energy, right? So it's as simple as this. It's truly as simple as this. The less sleep you have, the less sleep you have, let's focus on sleep. So the less sleep that you have, the less energy you have. And the less energy you have, your body's going to be irritated. Your body's going to be a bit agitated. You're going to be frustrated. Now you're on a lower frequency. So because you fell into the trap that I did, the hustle culture, entrepreneur mindset, you cold showers. That's all you do. Cold showers, waking up early. That's all you do. So essentially what happens when you sleep deprive yourself, right, is now you're operating on a low level of energy, right? Now your body doesn't have the energy that it needs to have that would allow it to be on higher frequencies, that would allow you to download the thoughts that you need to download, that allow you to get what you want. This is the irony about it, because a lot of people, the reason they deprive themselves of sleep is they deprive themselves of sleep because of productivity. They want to be more efficient. They want to be productive, but they don't realize that depriving yourself of sleep, for example, believing in this hustle culture, actually in the long term, you're going to be less productive and less efficient, and you're going to get way less done by doing it that way, right? Even in your business. Because when you have low energy, right, if you're on a low, let's do this, right? So you need energy. Your body needs energy to function, right? And where does it get energy? Your body gets energy from sleep, right? So your body gets energy from sleep, right? So if you are on low sleep, right? If you don't get a lot of sleep, let's do it this way. Bad sleep. Let's say you had a bad night of sleep. Bad sleep equals low energy, right? And then low energy equals low frequency. Right? So low energy equals low frequency. Now here's where we're going to go deep into it, right? You have to understand, and you guys, I know a lot of you have short attention spans. Make sure you watch this entire video. You're going to learn something extremely important that you haven't learned anywhere before. You've never seen someone on the internet explain something with this that's so amazing, right? So energy equal, you need energy, right? One way you get energy is from sleep. Bad sleep equals low energy. Low energy equals low frequency, right? So you have to understand that all the thoughts that you have, all the ideas that you have, everything that you want to do, it's all a reflection of the frequency that you're vibrating on, right? So let's say, you're starting a business, you're stuck at 10,000 a month, you want to scale to 30, 40, 50,000 a month, for example. And then you're stuck in this hustle culture. You're stuck in this hustle culture cycle, right? So essentially what's going to happen is you have to understand that when you sleep deprive yourself, let's say you're eating one meal a day, you're not eating the way that you need to eat because basically, you're like, I'm busy, I'm working all day. The people who basically sacrifice their health for a bit of money, they think that they're being more efficient, and maybe they are in the short term, but in the long term, they are actually being inefficient. And here's the reason why. All of the thoughts that you have, all of the ideas that you have, they don't come out of nowhere. They come from something invisible. And what's that invisible thing that they come from? It comes from your frequency. You have to understand that, let's say this is low frequency. So low frequency, and then this is high frequency. So this is low frequency, and then this is high frequency. All right, so let's say this is low frequency, high frequency. You have to understand there's this person in the middle, right? Right? There's this person in the middle, right? And let's say they didn't get good sleep that night. So you need energy to function. So if you get a bad night of sleep, now you're on a low energy. Right? You have your low energy. Low energy equals low frequency. So now because they're sleep deprived, they're more agitated, they're more irritated, and they think that, oh, well, I have to, I'm trying to grind, I'm trying to do this. They think that they're being more productive. They think they're being more efficient, correct? Right? But here's the thing. Now that you're on the low frequency, all of the thoughts that you have, all of the ideas that you have, you're all downloading them. Where are you downloading your thoughts from? Where are you downloading your ideas from? That idea that you have in your business that you want and you want this idea to take you to 40, 50,000 a month. Where does that thought and idea come from? It comes from your frequency. All of the thoughts you have, all the ideas that you have, all of the feelings you have come from the frequency that you're vibrating on. So if because you got a bad night of sleep, you're vibrating on a low frequency, guess what? Because you're on a bad night of sleep, now you're on this low frequency, right? So let's do this, right? So all of the ideas that this person has, all of the thoughts this person has, all of the ideas this person has, they're going to download low frequency ideas into their mind. Low frequency ideas, low frequency thoughts, low frequency feelings. They feel more agitated. They feel more irritated. All of the thoughts they're going to download are low frequency. So they think that because they got 4 hours of sleep the night before, because they want to scale to 40, 50,000 a month as soon as possible, they think they're being more efficient, but they don't realize that they're actually screwing themselves over and that they're going to be stuck. Why? Because what's going to take you to wherever it is that what you want to get to. Let's say you want to make more money in your business, you want better relationships, you want better health. Whatever it is that you want, you need energy. You need energy to get that. And the foundation of energy is sleep. It's food, right? So let's say especially a lot of these hustle culture people, let's say you get bad sleep. When you get bad sleep, now you're on low energy. Low energy equals low frequency. And now that you're on a low frequency, now you're downloading low frequency thoughts. You're downloading low frequency ideas. That's why a lot of the times people who are in this hustle culture, a lot of the times they're stuck in a cycle. And even if they did get successful from that, they have a good mindset, but they would have been way more successful if they were to balance everything out and not operate from this low frequency. If you became successful operating from a low frequency, imagine how successful you'd be operating from a high frequency, right? So if this person, right, this hustle culture person, right, is always operating from this low frequency, sleep depriving themselves, they're only eating one meal a day because, they don't have time to eat more meals, they're super busy, and they're just work. That's all they're doing. Low energy, they're operating on low energy. Because they're operating on low energy, they're operating on low frequency. And what do you need to have better relationships? You need better relationships. You want to make more money in your business. You want to get to the next level. You have to have new ideas. You have to have good thoughts. You have to have good thoughts, high frequency ideas that you can act out on. And then when you act out on these things, then you're going to be able to get where you want. Now let's say it's ironic, because let's say you have someone, right? And basically what happens is the high frequency person will do less work but get more results, because they're tuned into a different frequency. Because they're tuned into a different frequency, they're going to be downloading different thoughts. They're going to be downloading different ideas, right? So let's say this person, let's say he watches my channel. He's watching Melvin Share, right? And then he's like, you know what? Let's change it. Let's completely change everything. So now this person, right, he gets good sleep, right? Good sleep equals high energy. High energy equals high frequency, right? Good sleep equals high energy. High energy equals high frequency. So now that this person is vibrating at this higher frequency because they have more energy, right? They're starting to enjoy themselves more, right? Now this person is going to download. That's another thing. A lot of people, where do your thoughts come from? You had an amazing idea. Where did that amazing idea come from? You had an amazing idea, an amazing thought, but where did it come from? It came from your frequency, right? So you have to understand this. So now that this person's on a high frequency, right? It's truly as simple as this. Now they're going to download high frequency ideas. They're going to download high frequency thoughts. Literally, simply because they got a couple more hours of sleep. Now they're on a higher energy. Now, because of high energy, now they're on a high frequency. And because they're on that high frequency, now that they're on this high frequency, they're downloading better ideas. They're downloading better thoughts. And this person is going to be able to scale to that 40, 50,000 a month mark with their business way easier than the low frequency person, simply because they got a couple extra hours of sleep, right? This is why a lot of people, sometimes they're grinding, and they never allow themselves any bit of pleasure, any bit of enjoyment, any bit of anything. And then they finally go on a vacation, and then boom, they had an amazing idea, right? So let's erase all of this. Right? How come, and I'm sure you guys have had this experience with your business, right? So there's two versions of you. One version of you, this is the version of you, you're at the desk, this is your laptop, right? You're on your computer, right? You're on your computer and you're working all day. This is work, hustle, right? 15-hour days. Right? 15-hour days. Work, hustle, 15-hour days. You want to get to that 40, 50,000 a month mark as quickly as possible. You're just working, right? And then eventually something pops up, or maybe, your girlfriend convinces you to take a vacation, or your family convinces you to go on a vacation, or whatever it is. And then for whatever reason, you leave this 15, right? You just take a vacation maybe for a week. And then you go to a vacation for a week. So let's say you go, there's a beautiful beach. It's called beach. And you have the ocean, and then, everyone's on the beach, you're chilling, you're enjoying yourself, right? So you start to sleep in a bit more, right? You're eating better foods, you're around people, you feel a bit more excited, right? You feel a bit better, right? Now you're on this high frequency. You're on this high frequency because you're getting better sleep. You're getting better sleep, right? Eating better food. You're just in a more balanced state. Because you're in a balanced state, right? Now you're on this free, right? So let's say this is the person, right? Right? Because you're in a balanced state, that's why you could be on vacation, right? And as soon as you it's like when you're working so hard, you're right in front of your face, you can't see anything. But now that you're on vacation, you're on this higher frequency, and then now you have this thought, this idea that's going to allow you to get to the next level in your business. And where did that idea come from? Where did that thought come from? That idea that you had, that thought that you had, it came from the frequency you're on. When you were working 15 hours a day, you barely ate, you didn't eat properly that day, you weren't sleeping well, hustle, grind. Let me take a cold shower right now, right? You weren't in a balanced state. You weren't in a balanced state, and you were operating on a low frequency. Therefore, you had low frequency thoughts. You had low frequency thoughts. All of the thoughts, all of the ideas that you had that you wanted that would allow you to get to the next level. Guess what, right? You just were stuck in a cycle, right? You're a cycle of not really making that much progress. But then as soon as you go on a vacation, for some reason, you have the greatest idea that you could have ever had that's actually going to allow you to get to the next level in your business. But when you were hustling for 15 hours a day, you didn't see it. And now you went, for some reason, for whatever reason, you were forced to go on a vacation that you did not want. And you finally stopped working on the business for 15 hours a day. And then you went to the beach. Right? And you actually enjoyed yourself. You slept in a bit. You started eating more properly. You were in a more balanced state. And then boom, right? Now the idea that you needed to have that's actually going to allow you to get to the next level in your business, it just clicked. And then when you came back, right? And then you came back and you worked on your business, you plugged it in, and then boom, your business went to the next level. But you have to understand the metaphysical aspects of it. You have to understand the energetic explanation, the energetic reason behind it. You went on this vacation, and then after you went on this vacation, where did that amazing idea come from? It's because you're in a more balanced state. You're in a higher frequency state. And because you're in a higher frequency state, you're going to download high frequency ideas. You're going to download high frequency thoughts. And then you take you take this idea, and then you go back here, you implement it in your business, and then it takes you to the next level, right? A lot of the reason that people are stuck in their business, they're stuck in their life, they're stuck in whatever it is that they're doing, is they simply don't realize that every single thing that they experience physically is a reflection of something invisible, which is their frequency, right? You have to, if you truly want to get to the next level in your life, in your business, whatever it is, you have to be aware of the invisible things that's happening. You have to be aware of the frequency that you're vibrating on. Because now that this person went on vacation, now they were able to download a high frequency thought. And now that they were able to download that high frequency thought, they implemented it into their business, and then boom, their business skyrocketed. But if it wasn't for that business and then they just kept working, right, they wouldn't have been able to download that thought. So a lot of the times, a lot of you are stuck because you don't have the right thoughts, you don't have the right ideas that you need to implement in your business that would actually take you to the next level. So you need to sit there and you need to analyze it, and you say, well, why don't I have the right thoughts? Why don't I have the right ideas? Because you're vibrating on the wrong frequency, right? You have to understand you cannot think greater than your frequency. You're vibrating on the wrong frequency, right? That's why a lot of you feel like you're stuck in a loop. You're just vibrating at the wrong frequency. As soon as you shift your frequency for whatever reason, right? Somehow you end up on a high frequency. That thought came out of nowhere. You just downloaded that thought. You download idea. You have no clue where it came from. Oh, I went on a vacation, and then that thought just came to me. Boom! Why? How come I didn't think about that when I was there? Because now that you're in a more balanced state, now you're on a high frequency, right? And because you're on a high frequency, right? All right, let's separate it. Instead of downloading thoughts from this side, right? Because you were on a high frequency, then you started downloading thoughts from this side. And then it's the thought that you downloaded from this high frequency that then you implemented into your business that allowed you to get to the next level, right? So a lot of the reason a lot of you guys are stuck is because it's your frequency. You're not aware of the invisible things that are happening within your internal state. You're not aware of your internal state. You're not aware of your frequency. You're not aware of the energetic and metaphysical the reasons behind why you are where you are. A lot of you are so focused on the external things. You're so focused on that which you can see. You know, you're focused on hiring more people. You're focused on funnels, or you're focused on this, that. And a lot of you are not focused on the frequency. You're not focused on the frequency. You're not focused on the invisible. You're not focused on the invisible that essentially is everything you see externally that you're doing in your business is a reflection of this invisible. But you're focused on you're focused on that which you can see instead of that which you can't see, not realizing that everything that you can see is a reflection of that which you can't see. So if you want to get to the next level with your business, you got to change your frequency. Elevate your frequency. You're going to download different thoughts. You're going to download different ideas. And it's going to happen in a way better. It's going to happen in an easier, and it's going to happen in a more effortless way. It's that simple.